So we can host this training session on the Cal-ICMA website, and it'll be available to others as a follow-up. The outcome of this training session is so that you will learn how to conduct a simple coaching program. We'll be providing a simple coaching model for you. So if you practice this model as a manager, you can lead a coaching conversation with any of your direct reports. So we're going to get started now, and we're going to begin by collecting some data from you. So you're going to be responding to two questions in a few moments. The first question: who has been a specific individual who has helped you progress or otherwise supported you in your personal professional life? So in a moment, I want you to jot down who that specific individual is. And then what did that person do to support you? Why was the relationship special? What were the key ingredients that made that relationship so special? So if everybody could jot down who the specific person is and what were the key ingredients that made that relationship special. What did the person do to support you? So let's do that now, please. You got to write it down. Who was the person and what were several key ingredients? Now, Casey is our technical producer today from Cal-ICMA. Casey is going to be putting all of us into pairs, into breakout rooms of two, and you're going to have 8 minutes to one person first share who was the person, how did that person support you, why was the relationship special, and the key thing is what were several key ingredients that made the relationship special. You'll have 4 minutes each to share. We'll let you know, we'll announce when we've come to 7 minutes, which means that you'll have 1 minute left. And then we'll bring you back to the large group and we're going to share what those key ingredients were. So Casey will now put you into the breakout rooms. Please accept and join the breakout rooms, and we'll come back in 8 minutes. You'll obviously have to have your camera on to have a robust conversation in the breakout room.
I've had to put some into three group,
Okay.
a group of three.
That's fine.
How many minutes, Frank?
Total of 8. Let them know it's 7 that we're closing in 60 minutes, 60 seconds.
Sounds good.
There was no one else in my breakout room, so I came back.
All right, I'll reassign. It looks like a lot of people are going in and out. I don't know if there is some issue with technical
Maybe.
problems with your computers. Oh, it's weird. I can't reassign once returned, so
Oh, I see. Oops. That's okay. I wrote it down for myself.
Frank, are you there?
I'm here, yes.
Maybe for those that weren't pushed into a breakout room, could they use this forum as the breakout room?
Oh, no.
Is there anyone else in that category?
It does look like we have a couple people here. We got Ian, Leslie, Teresa. So
Hi,
there is
Teresa.
there's a couple. Feel free to talk amongst yourselves here.
My breakout room is empty, so I'm
That was
in
me.
here.
I got into my room and there was no one there. So I was like,
Oh, was it number 9?
yeah.
That was number 9, was it?
Um, I don't know what room I was in.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So I
never
just
mind.
waited a few minutes
Why
and
not,
Oh, yeah, me
Maria,
too.
why don't you share with Teresa who was supportive in your personal, professional life?
Sure. There was someone kind of early on in my career who I thought that a couple of things she did really well was, one, she shared what she was learning as a manager and like kind of mistakes that she was currently making, like which I thought was kind of interesting. And also the other thing that she shared was how the kind of the steps that she went through in her thinking when she was trying to present a persuasive argument. And that has really helped me. I still use that method today. And she also really genuinely cared about the work. Yeah, so those were the things that were special about her.
The key ingredients was that she was vulnerable, and she also really showed that she cared about the work.
Yeah.
Did she communicate how, or did you infer that she cared about you?
Oh, yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Teresa, who is a special person who supported you in your personal and professional life?
so probably mid-career, I guess. I had an assistant city manager and I will just call her the master of great questions. She asked really good questions, and then because I'm in theater and so not everybody understands what we do, so if she didn't understand, then she would just keep asking until she really truly like got what understood it at a more than just a general level. And then she just trusted me so much. And then the support that she would give me was just phenomenal, because it was a big project that we were working on, and she just, let me run with it. It was just phenomenal. And I learned a lot from her.
So, giving you autonomy to run with it was key.
Mhm.
Asking questions to really make sure she understood. And then also just trusting in you. I mean, that's incredibly empowering.
Yeah, it was really, she was, at that time, it was just perfect. I couldn't have asked for a better manager.
Wow.
Because it was a big project, and I mean, we were building a performing arts center, so there's always
Wow.
folks in the community that are like not for the project, so there's a little bit of that. But she was just really good about asking clarification questions, so that she was at a point where she understood it, what we were trying to do, just really well.
And it sounds like also that there was a lot of meaning and purpose in the project.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, that made it pretty important. You shared in the meaning of the work.
Mm-hmm.
Well, great. Those are two great examples. Casey, how much longer do we have in the breakout rooms?
I just gave him the 1 minute warning. There's about 40 seconds or so left, and I'll
Okay,
pull him
great.
back.
I'll be right back.
Yeah, she would attend theater, but she
Mm.
wasn't a theater person at all. But I
Mhm.
remember one time she came back from a show and she was like, well, in fact, she would attend over here at the Leisure Center, and she was describing the show, and she's like, but they had the boat like came across the stage. And I was like, yeah, but we can't do that because we have a stairwell on one side and an alleyway on the other side. So we would have to back the boat up the river. She's like, oh, like it was like she just would really pay attention to what she was seeing and then what we were trying to do. And it was just, she really, it was really,
Teresa and Ria, when we get back with the whole group, I'm going to ask people to raise their hand to share some of the key ingredients. Would both of you mind raising your hand?
Sure.
no, I don't mind.
Great, super. That'll just get us started.
Yeah.
All right, everyone's back.
Okay, great. Well, now we're going to share some of these key ingredients. I'm going to ask you to raise your hand if you would be willing to share some of the key ingredients that made this relationship special.
Can I raise my hand?
Who would like to? Okay, Ria, can you share who this person was?
Yeah, so this was a manager from very early in my career. Her name was Joy. And
Great.
I think some of the key ingredients were that it was clear that she was like she would share things with me that she herself was learning as a manager at the time. And not just kind of like, learning and she's kind of moved on from there, but like while she was in the process of kind of being in trouble, she would kind of share vulnerably about what she learned and kind of the embarrassing things, and kind of seeing her being a learner was really had a lot of impact on me. Also, I think the other thing that she taught me was she taught me her thinking behind how she presents a persuasive argument. And so it was kind of the steps, and I still use these steps today, of kind of thinking through the audience and the goals, and thinking from the other person's perspective, which I think was really helpful. And then I think the other two things was she was really genuinely interested in what she was working on. It was environmental work, to do with water. And it was clear that she really cared about her work. And she also really cared about me. We're still friends. I still keep in contact with her from time to time.
So the ones you mentioned, she showed vulnerability because she mentioned some of the mistakes that she had made. She was very much of a model in terms of learning. She showed empathy because she recognized your perspectives, and she cared not only about the work, but also about me. That's great. Teresa, can you share the person and what was special about it?
Sure. I had an assistant city manager, Julie, who's now retired. I was working on a project with her, and I called her the master of good questions. She would just ask really good clarification questions. If she didn't understand something, she would just keep not asking the same question, but she would just keep getting more detail and pulling back the page, so to speak, until she really genuinely understood what you were trying to work on or what you were trying to achieve. And then she just supported me so much in the project, and then trusted me, trusted my knowledge, and trusted what I was trying to do for the community. It was phenomenal.
So again, this trust, showed trust in you. Also ask great questions. Coaching is more about asking questions than it is providing answers. And and then of course the project was very meaningful.
Mhm.
And you shared that meaning together. Okay, great. Sean, I see your hand raised. Thank you. Who is this person that supported you?
Yeah, thanks, Frank. It was a former supervisor of mine. He was a senior capital project manager at Mid-Peninsula Open Space District. And aside for some of the things that our colleagues shared here, he set an example. He was a high performer, and it was really uplifting and encouraging to try to model his behavior. So that was a really important characteristic that he had. Another thing that was really important is he advocated for my growth,
Oh.
not just to me, but to management as well, and with me in the room and without me in the room. So that
Wow.
was something that was really powerful and uplifting. And then something one of my colleagues shared in our breakout room about someone she felt was really powerful. They always connected things back to the organization's mission or the big picture, and that really just justified the why for projects and anything that they were diving into. So I thought that was really important as well.
So advocated for me, provided sort of the big picture, talked about the why, what was the purpose and meaning behind the project, and was a great role model. The most powerful way to teach is, of course, through modeling. Tabitha, why don't we go to you? Who was a special person in your career or life?
The most recent one is the director of utilities here in Palo Alto. I've been with Palo Alto for 18 years, and I've been with utilities for 5. And he was the first one who embraced my in your face, outgoing, get it done no matter what type of personality. Throughout my tenure here, it's been tampered. No, stay in your lane, stay in your box. Don't upset anyone. Don't, whereas with him, it was like, if you see a problem, go get it, go figure it out. What can you do? And if it upsets people, then it upsets people. And oddly enough, in our 260 people, they were used to just flying by the seat of their pants and, well, we'll just get ahead and when it gets done. And with me, it was like, no, there's going to be a process. There's going to be a long lead time. You're not going to dump everything on, the director at the last minute. And they fought me for the first 6 months or so. And now it's 5 years. They're like children. They just crave that distinct, I need a plan, I need a process, I need a direction. And everything for utilities is on time or early, getting it to the current city manager or the assistant city manager. And he gave me that rein. He gave me that ability to just, it's okay. I will back you up. If they get upset with you because you're pushing them, I'll back you up. So it was good to have that fearlessness that I can do my job and I could get out there and I can do it better, knowing that I had the freedom and support to change the rules and make it better and make things more visible and not hide in the corner. So it was a huge, huge step. And now I've moved away from that position and I'm in an analyst position where I fix the problem. So now people come to me to get things fixed as opposed to pushing them under the rug. So it was a very positive experience that I've had with him.
So your manager embraced your go do it, let's fix it up sort of attitude and behavior, and backed you up and basically allowed you to grow and develop in your position.
Exactly.
So let's use the chat for the rest of you. I want you, what did we miss of the key ingredients from everybody else's experience? Use the chat function, please, and provide one key ingredient that has not been mentioned by those who already shared. So let's use the chat function. Okay, candor, very good. Honest conversation, safety. Safety is a key component. Who else? Positive reinforcement. Invested in me, had vision. Listen to me. Sense of humor, positive reinforcement. Invested in me. Provided professional development. Master provided a feedback. Willing to challenge me. Okay. Direct communication with warmth, coaching. Okay, super. Now, the point of this exercise is that these special people in our lives, they saw potential in us, they believed in us, they provided opportunities, they modeled, they were vulnerable themselves, they allowed us to practice and make mistakes and learn from our mistakes. They provided a big picture and as well as vision. They advocated for us. They trusted us. These are the classic ingredients inherent in a great development and coaching experience. So if you incorporate these key ingredients, you will be very successful in helping your direct reports develop. Because these are the classic ingredients of a great coach. All these key ingredients that we just mentioned. So I want you to keep these in mind as you have development conversations and coaching conversations with your direct reports, because they will lead you to having a great experience with your coachee. And in fact, they will help you accelerate the development of your direct reports. Okay. Now, this training is part of the Cal-ICMA Talent Initiative. Again, Cal-ICMA is the California affiliate of the International City County Management Association. Now, as part of this talent initiative, our team has created a number of resources and tools. First of all, just before COVID hit, we published the Talent 2.0 report, which talks about the talent crisis facing local government. And it also suggested a whole variety of best practices in attracting, developing, and retaining our talent. And that 2.0 report is on the Cal-ICMA website, and I'll provide that website at the end of the program. the talent initiative also created 3 talent development tools. The first tool is a template for talent discussions by your agency's executive team. It can also be used by your department management team. And this is an online fillable form, and it assesses the strengths of your talent bench in each department. It also identifies talent gaps in your department. It identifies some high potential employees or emerging leaders and their strengths and area, as well as areas for development. And it also suggests some talent development activities for the people who have been identified. As well as this template, we also provided a sample to help people fill out the form. Now, the second tool is a menu of development opportunities. Again, this is an online fillable form, and it pre-populates the form with some state and national development programs, as well as some programs offered by universities. And you could customize the form by adding development activities offered by your agency or provided on a regional basis, such as a regional leadership academy. As part of any development conversation, you can provide this menu to your direct report as part of the development activity. Again, this menu of development opportunities is available on the Cal-ICMA website. Now, the third tool, talent development tool, is a coaching model, as well as this training on how to conduct a development conversation. This coaching model is, again, posted on the Cal-ICMA website, and this will be the focus of today's training session. We also sent this coaching model to you when we sent out the link to today's program. Okay, let me quickly provide an overview of what we're going to do today together in our 90-minute session. First of all, I'm going to identify different kinds of one-to-one conversations. There are distinct kinds of one-to-one conversations. You have to be very clear about what kind of conversation you're having. We'll define what a development conversation is, and I'll share some premises of a good development conversation. I'm also going to share some research findings about how you accelerate the development of your direct reports, because we can't wait for people to develop. We have to accelerate their development. I'm going to demonstrate a development conversation, and then you all are going to critique my performance as a coach. I'll provide some coaching tips. We'll have a Q&A session at the end, and I'll provide some resources and next steps for you. So you'll be creating a lot of the content today, so get ready to participate. Again, I'll appreciate if you keep your cameras on. That'll help me stay engaged. Mute your audio when you're not speaking. And I'm a pretty informal guy, so if at any point you have a question or you want to share an observation, you can use the chat function. Okay, let's get started. Okay, so first of all, what is the key relationship determining if an employee stays or leaves an organization? As it turns out, the key relationship is not between the employee or the chief executive or the employee and the department head. And the key relationship is not between the employee and other team members. The key relationship is between the employee and his or her direct supervisor. An employee, all the research suggests that an employee joins an organization because of higher compensation, or it's a promotion, or it's an opportunity to further learn and grow, or the organization has a great reputation. That's why somebody joins an organization. An employee leaves an organization because of a poor relationship with his or her supervisor, direct supervisor. It all this is all research done by the Gallup organization. The Gallup organization has also determined that the direct supervisor has a significant impact on the individual performance or the performance by the team. In fact, I recently read that the direct supervisor or the direct supervisor has a great impact on team performance, particularly 70% of variance in team performance is related to the direct supervisor. So having positive development conversations with your direct reports will have a significant impact on retaining the employee and on the employee's performance. So there are different kinds of one-to-one conversations, and you have to be clear on what kind of conversation you're having. So most of our one-to-one conversations are supporting the day-to-day work of a direct report. A second kind of conversation is coaching to improve the performance of your direct report. And this is when typically the employee is not meeting minimum requirements, and you need to ensure that the employee is meeting the minimum requirements of the job. The third kind of conversation, one-to-one conversation, is conducting a stay interview. And you want to make sure that the employee stays with you because they're a talented performer. So, we typically wait till the employee announces that they're leaving, and then we do an exit interview, which is kind of stupid because the employee has already decided to leave. So stay interviews are informal one-to-one conversations every 6 to 12 months that are aimed at retaining the employee. So we ask them, what would entice you to leave? What is a perfect day on the job? What do you want to learn in the upcoming year? What are some of the strengths that we aren't using that we could use? And how do we keep you here? And as a follow-up to this training session, we're going to send you one of the career compass columns that I write on how to retain talent by conducting a stay interview. So we'll send that resource to you. Now, the fourth kind of one-to-one conversation is engaging the employee in a development conversation, which is a focus of today's development conversation, the focus of today's training session. Okay, so this is what I'm going to cover with you. What is a development conversation? What are some key premises? How does a manager help the employee accelerate their development? And what are the sequence of steps when in the development conversation? Okay, so a development conversation is an informal conversation, informal discussion with an employee, a colleague, or a friend that provides an opportunity for you as the coach to explore the coachee's hopes and dreams, provide feedback, identify opportunities to learn, lead, and participate, and offer support and resources. Now, here are some premises to a development conversation. The goal is to accelerate the employee's development because, again, we can't wait for people to develop. We have a talent crisis. And each entity has some responsibilities. Hopefully your agency supports development conversations and they make development conversations a priority. The agency provides some training resources and other development activities. And hopefully the agency evaluates and rewards managers on how well they support the development of their staff. Now, the coach has some responsibilities. The coach has the responsibility to get trained, which we're doing right now. Hopefully schedule a development conversation with the employee. Provide time. That's the key resource, time. And as well as to provide feedback and to be supportive. Now, the employee also has some responsibilities. That's to be open to the conversation and participate in the dialogue and to decide what to do, if anything. It's not the coach's responsibility to make sure anything happens. It's the employee's responsibility. Now, there is a difference between performance evaluations and development conversations. Everybody hates performance evaluations, and typically they're a waste of productivity and time. That's one of my biases. The purpose of the development conversation is to support learning and growth. So there's a difference between a performance evaluation and a development conversation, and you want to do them at different times. You don't want to combine a development conversations with a performance evaluation. Now, who can serve as a coach? Anybody can serve as a coach. The focus is on hopes and dreams, not challenges and problems, because the research, there's a lot of neurological research that suggests when you focus on hopes and dreams, that's very energizing as opposed to problems and challenges. And again, coaching is more about asking the right questions than providing the right answers. So you want to ask questions as part of the development conversation. Now, what's in it for me? We know what's in it for your employee. The employee wants to explore their career aspirations, they can get some feedback, and hopefully they secure your support as the manager, including resources. So what's in it for the manager, for the coach? So let's use the chat function, please, and type in one thing that's in it for you as the coach, as the manager. So if you could type in, please, under chat, what's in it for you as the manager? Okay. Fully committed and productive employees, yes. It contributes to a higher performing team, meets program benchmarks, employee retention, yes, talent retention. All the data suggests that as long as people are growing and learning, they tend to stay with you. Long-term retention, reduced workload because employee is engaged. Learning and growth is very much related to employee engagement. Creating an uplifting environment, retaining productive employees, succession planning. It improves the culture. Learn what the employee is interested in and how can connect that person to opportunities in the organization. Very good. Okay, so there's a lot in it for the manager, the coach, higher performing employees because they're learning and growing, frees up your time, creates a legacy. You have an opportunity to give back, and it's fun. Coaches love to coach. So thank you for providing that feedback. Okay, I'd like to now quickly provide some data, some research before we get into reviewing the coaching model. So I want to share 3 findings from the research about how to accelerate the development of your direct reports. Now, first of all, you want to focus on learning and doing plus feedback. A much better way for your employees to learn and develop is by having them do something and then giving them some feedback. It's much better than classroom training or education. So learning by doing is better than what we're doing right now. Because right now, this is classroom education. Now, if you apply what you learn right now, it sticks. So learning, the best way to help your people learn is by giving them stretch assignments or team leadership opportunities or job rotations. So stretch assignments is the best, and then giving them feedback on how they're doing. The second research finding identifies the ideal mix of development. And the ideal mix is 70% of people's development activity should be related to learning by doing, 20% should be coaching, and 10% should be classroom training or education. So if you want to promote your own development, or if you want to accelerate the development of your direct reports, help them develop this ideal mix of development. 70% learning by doing, 20% coaching, and 10% classroom training or education. The third research finding is you want to help your direct reports, and you want to help yourself find this sweet spot of learning and development. And the sweet spot tends to be when there is a 50 to 70% chance of success. So if you give your employee a new assignment where there's a 90% chance of success, you're just adding more work to their plate. Thank you very much. If you give them an assignment where there's only a 40% chance of success, they will tend to be overwhelmed, too stressed out. They will tend to withdraw. It's just too difficult. So this sweet spot, this ideal spot for their development is when there's a 50 to 70 chance of success. You want them to be uncomfortable because you can't learn without being uncomfortable. You want them to be uncomfortable, but not too uncomfortable. That's the sweet spot of learning. Okay, in a moment, I'm going to demonstrate a coaching conversation. And as I do that, I want you to jot down what is Frank doing well according to the model that I present, and how could I have done better? I can always do better as a coach. So you're going to critique me as I conduct the conversation. So jot down a few notes. So Talisha Brent, team coordinator for recreation for the city of Redwood City, is going to be my demonstration partner. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk through, there's 8 steps in this model. By the way, we sent you out a copy of the model when we sent out the link to you. But I'm going to walk through steps 1 through 3, and then Talisha and I will model the conversation. Then steps 4 through 6, and then Talisha and I will have the conversation according to steps 4 through 6, and then steps 7 and 8, and then Talisha and I will have that part of the conversation. So step number 1, I'm going to ask Talisha, what are your hopes and dreams? Focus on hopes and dreams, not challenges or problems as the first step. And then I'm going to ask Talisha, why is this hope and dream so important to her? Because different people have different whys. the second step is I'm going to ask Talisha what stands between her and where she wants to be. So what are some issues and obstacles that have that may get in her way, that need attention? And then I want to feedback what I heard. I wanted to paraphrase what I heard to make sure I get it. I probably got most of what she said, but I wanted to feedback to make sure that I got that I understood what I heard. And then step number 3 is explore options. You always want to start by saying, what choices or options does you see moving forward? And then I can offer some options myself and ask if she's considered those options. And choices encourage and empower people. Okay, so let's go now. We're going to minimize this PowerPoint and go to Talisha and me. Okay, so let's have Talisha join me. Okay, there you go, Talisha, great. Well, Talisha, thank you very much for joining me in this development conversation. You know, you do a great job as our teen rec coordinator here in the city of Palo Alto. And as your manager, you know, I very much appreciate you, and I very much appreciate what you bring to the organization. So, what would you like to get out of this conversation today, Talisha?
Frank, thank you. I appreciate your support. I hope to gain some knowledge from you, perspective, and I genuinely want guidance on how to get to the next level. I mean, my ultimate goal is to become recreation manager, youth and teen. So words of wisdom, guidance.
Okay, great. So your big hope and dream for your career is, I want to make sure I get it, is for you to do what?
Recreation manager for the youth and teen department.
Okay.
Ideally, the city of Redwood City, because that's what I consider home.
Okay. Is your hope to one day lead the department or simply become, as your next step, the recreation manager?
I mean, a girl can dream. I would say manager first, and then wherever that then leads me.
Okay, very good. So to make sure I get it, your big hope and dream is certainly to become recreation manager and make sure you have a good recreation program in the city. And you're open to someday perhaps lead a recreation or community services department.
Yes.
Okay. But the next step forward for you would be to be a recreation manager.
Absolutely.
Okay, great. Okay, so what are some issues or perhaps obstacles that may stand in your way that you need to address so you can move to the next level of recreation manager?
I think opportunity
Okay.
and comfort in staying within the city that I've worked in for so long. I've had other opportunities in outside agencies that I did turn down because I just really do adore working for the city I work in. So I would say branching out a bit and having the opportunity present itself maybe in other areas, other cities, and being open to it myself.
Okay. So being the big issue is opportunity,
Mhm.
which we can certainly provide, and we'll talk about that in a moment. So to branch out and to broaden some of your skills,
Yes.
and I assume those would be other areas of perhaps recreation, perhaps leadership skills.
Leadership
general?
skills, absolutely, and other areas and facets of the department as a whole.
Okay.
I've tried to dabble in every area,
Okay.
but I can always stand to learn more. Absolutely.
Okay. So different exposure to different areas of recreation and parks and community services, and taking on more leadership opportunities I assume not just in the department, but also our organization here in Redwood City.
Absolutely.
Okay. Let me also ask, to what extent are you professionally involved?
Meaning, Frank, can you elaborate a bit?
Yeah, and to what extent are you professionally involved, let's say in the California Parks and Recreation Society or the National Recreation and Parks Association?
I attend CPRS conferences. I take the classes, PD, that the Parks and Rec, National Park and Rec Association provides. I'm on different committees locally. I try to expose myself to as much networking as possible as well.
Yeah, so in terms of your active involvement in committees, it's locally, you're not involved at the state level yet.
Not yet.
Okay, great. Okay, I understand that. So we've identified certain opportunities for more exposure and more leadership opportunities and perhaps more professional involvements. What, in terms of dealing with those issues, what do you think would be a good further development activity or development opportunity? What choices do you see?
I would love to take on mentorship opportunities with management of other areas in the department.
Okay,
Any leadership opportunities in regards to academies, professional development trainings. I do best with hands-on experience, so shadowing, again, mentoring. If there was an opportunity to shadow other departments and other management in the field, that would be amazing.
okay. So taking on sort of a team leadership approach here in the department as issues arise, also serving on different teams citywide outside of recreation,
Yes.
perhaps doing some job shadowing, particularly in the department and other areas besides teen programs, and also some coaching or mentoring.
Yes.
And do you have a formal coach?
I do. I actually, the chief of police is my mentor. And I meet with her 2 times a month.
Great.
To just discuss professional opportunities.
Right.
And bounce ideas off of her and just seek her expertise.
Right. Great. Now, as you, I previously handed out a menu of development opportunities, including some programs offered by Redwood City and regionally. And one of those regional opportunities is the Leadership Academy offered through Santa Clara County, and Redwood City is sending you plus one other participant to that Leadership Academy, which is a great opportunity in terms of developing soft skills, leadership skills. And through the program, you get a coach. And we'll be talking about coaching in a few moments, but that's a great opportunity to expand, your sort of coaching team. Now, the other thing you can do, I'll be on the lookout for opportunities for you to lead some teams in the department, or teams, get involved in some teams, even lead a team outside the department, because we always are developing teams. So I'll be on the lookout, and I would suggest, as an opportunity, you may want to consider asking your other coaches, the police chief, one in particular, to be on the lookout for some challenges that are coming up that you can be on the city team addressing those challenges. Okay. And then, of course, one other opportunity you can consider is professional organizations are always looking for volunteers for their statewide committees. So you may want to look into volunteering, because all you got to do is raise your hand. on one of the CPRS committees, because that'll give you some very good visibility. Okay, let's go back to our PowerPoint here. I'll walk through steps 4 through 6. So step 4 is to share a story or experience, because stories are the most powerful way to communicate. And you always ask, may I share a story or an experience? Or who do you know has fulfilled a similar dream that the person has had? So I'll share a story in a moment. Step 5 is holding a big vision for the person, because people tend to be timid. So you as a coach are going to serve as a catalyst, asking them to take a big leap. And you want to ask them, have you thought about this kind of big leap? And step number 6 is to invite them to consider some action. Again, people, they don't have to accept what your invitation is. Leave the choice to them. You're not responsible for any action, but you're going to invite them to take some action. Okay, let's go back to our split screen with Talisha. Thank you, Talisha. May I share a story in terms of my experience?
Absolutely, please do.
Okay. And I was trying to get ready for my next move. I was a recreation coordinator for a city, and I wanted to move into management just like you did. And I particularly wanted to move into more of a human services role, social services role as a manager. So I knew that I had some gaps in my experience, just like you have some gaps. Everybody has some gaps in their experience. So first of all, I volunteered for a free clinic, and I got some experience counseling as a volunteer counselor. So that was very helpful. And then I wanted more of a big picture policy kind of experience, so I could move into a managerial role. So I volunteered for a nonprofit, and I got involved on their board of directors. All I had to do was volunteer. And I got more of a bigger picture view and more of a policy managerial role with that nonprofit as a volunteer. And then finally, nobody wanted to volunteer as the president of our employee association. And I wanted some more labor relations experience. So I raised my hand, and nobody wanted the job. So I became president at age 25 of our employee union. And that was a great experience, interacting with top management and also, representing all our employees. So the point of the story is, look for, as we discussed, look for those opportunities either inside the organization, and Redwood City is wonderful in terms of providing new leadership opportunities, but you can also do it outside the organization as well. And pretty soon you'll get more exposure to those different areas within the department as well as outside the department, and you'll get more opportunities to lead in a formal or informal way. So I offer that as that story of those 3 experiences for me really allowed me to move into a management role, even where my organization was not as helpful as your organization is. Okay, I hope that was helpful. The next,
Actually, Frank, I was just elected the chapter chair for the SEIU organization. So I do resonate with that. So hopefully then, yes, I am following in your.
That's a great opportunity to lead and to interact with the top management of the city. So I want to invite you. You've been in your current position 2.5 years as our team coordinator. You had a fairly long career with us, 10 years total in recreation. So I want to invite you to take that big leap forward, which is to become recreation manager. Now, I know you're committed to the city and you would love to stay with the city, and we would love to keep you. You're one of our talented emerging leaders. But I also want to acknowledge that I would never have progressed in my career unless I would have gone to another agency in local government. So that's always an opportunity. So I want to invite you to take that big leap forward and become a recreation manager. And how do you feel about that? Do you feel that you're ready or almost ready to do that?
I feel completely ready.
Okay.
Motivated, I'm eager, and I'm determined.
Okay, that's what I like to hear.
And I
Because
live
we
on
need-
Halifax these days, so I'm looking, and I like I said, I genuinely love my city, but I'm at the point in my life where I know opportunity isn't going to fall into my lap, and I may have to look elsewhere.
Okay, great. I want to invite you to take some action, particularly getting that coach with the Leadership Academy and using that coach as a support. And also, and the Leadership Academy is a great development opportunity, but also particularly having people be on the lookout and you be on the lookout to get involved in some teams outside the recreation department, so you can get that larger exposure and get involved in non-recreation activities, because as recreation manager, you'll be a leader in the city. Okay, let's go back to our screen again, back to our steps, and go to step number 7. Build a dream team. So I'm going to ask who can help you realize your dream, and who else could be willing, who would you be willing to support to expand your dream team? And then step number 8 is suggest a follow-up conversation. So let's go back to Talisha, please. So Talisha, everybody needs some special advisors and coaches. I like to call it a dream team of advisors. And everybody, including Steph Curry, needs, world-class coaches. So who, you mentioned the police chief as a coach or mentor. You mentioned you're going to get a coach through the Leadership Academy. Who else could be a coach or an advisor? Well, let me ask, who else is a coach or advisor in your life, either professionally or personally?
I have a colleague in management who is in my department, and I look to her for coaching constantly.
Okay.
Because I respect how she has grown within the department. And her work ethic is amazing. And I feel I think what's most important for me and relatable is the honesty. It's not easy. She'll tell me if I'm doing something that I may need to correct. So she, in my immediate department, is who I go to. And then I have colleagues in other cities as well that I do reach out to if need be.
Good. And in your personal life, do you have somebody you could go to?
I do have my partner. She's a great support. She's a behavior specialist for Palo Alto Unified. And she gives me a different perspective, although a government agency, I'm able to bounce ideas off, but she's constantly lifting me up as well. So another great person to lean on.
Right. Well, the great thing about being more involved professionally is you can grow your dream team. And it sounds like you do have a number of people. Typically, you need to have 2 + 1. One person in your department, one person outside your department, and then a person who is in the profession but outside the organization. So you certainly have 2+1. May I be part of your dream team going forward?
You, Frank?
Yes, me.
Please, are you kidding me?
No, I'd love to be part of your dream team.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you. I'd love it too.
Coaches love to coach. I'd love to coach you. Okay, so we've talked about a lot of things. There's a lot of opportunities given your city and your profession. And I wonder if you would like to have a follow-up conversation in 2 or 3 weeks where we can discuss specifically what you'd like to commit to move forward, and how we all can be supportive and how I can be supportive as your manager.
Absolutely. The follow-up would be super appreciated.
Okay, so go ahead and send me an invite, and we'll schedule a follow-up conversation.
Will do.
Okay, let's give Talisha a hand. Great job.
Thank you all.
Okay, let's go back to our PowerPoint, please. Okay. So now we're going to do a critique, given the 8 steps and how Frank did that. Let's use the chat function. And what did Frank do well? Okay, reflected on what I heard. I followed the model, yes. Asked a lot of questions. Again, coaching is more about asking questions than it is providing opportunities. Frank was uplifting, asked a lot of questions. I helped identify some opportunities. Frequent mirroring of language, that's very good. Provided some reach goals, some stretch goals. Showed a personal interest. That's very important. That's one of the key ingredients that we all identified early on. I showed support, asked questions, reflected on what I heard. Okay. Focused on the coachee. Okay, offered to help, spelled out a plan, had genuine interest, optimistic tone. Very good. Okay, let's now go to what could I have done better? How could I have improved the conversation? Who has something about how I could have improved the conversation? I can always improve the conversation. Anybody have some suggestion about how I could improve the conversation? Nobody. Okay. Well, I could had to refer to notes. Okay, now it's okay to have this that's a good point, everybody. It's okay to have this coaching model in front of you. I always said, I have some notes. What I should have said is I have some questions I want to ask, and I brought my cheat sheet with me, so I'm going to refer to my notes. More time with her. Yes, it would have been helpful to have more time. It's always helpful to have more time. And it's also helpful to start the conversation more about asking what was happening with her. Ask him, about what's happening on the job or what's happening at home. And also agree that she has capacity, or ask if she has capacity beyond her current workload. That would have been helpful as well. Okay, so thank you for sharing some ways of improving the conversation. Do not be reticent about bringing this coaching model, which was sent to you with the link, with you. And this coaching model is also on the Cal-ICMA website. I'll give you that website address in a few moments. There's also more info about her goals. Okay, that's good. Okay, I'm going to share very quickly some tips on becoming a great coach, and then we'll get into resources. So Obviously, make time for the person and focus on the coachee. Time is the most important resource, and you want to make sure there's no distraction. So if you're doing this in an office, close the door, mute your phone and computer, get away from the desk, because the desk is a barrier between you and the other person. Better yet, do it over a cup of coffee, go to a cafe, take a walk with the person, but focus on the person and make sure you're not distracted. And then create a safe environment. So you want to ask questions, you want to listen in a non-judgmental way, acknowledge what you heard. And most coaches ask questions and are listening 70% of the time. They're only talking 30% of the time. So if you're talking most of the time as a coach, you're not being a very good coach. You want to ask questions, listen, and feedback, paraphrase what you hear. Then share yourself and some of your experiences. You want to provide challenging stretch assignments. That's the best way that the people accelerate their development. You want to serve as an accessible resource and a sounding board. And then you want to treat mistakes as learning opportunities. Share some of your learning, some of your mistakes, show some vulnerability, and treat mistakes as learning opportunities, and be forward looking. Don't be backward looking, be forward looking. Provide some candid and helpful feedback. Certainly recognize and reward success. Model. Several of you mentioned modeling is the most powerful way to lead. Again, tell some personal stories. Share your own career journey, include high points, low points, turning points. Make introductions to other people, particularly some professional introductions. And then when the person is ready or almost ready, push your protege forward when it's time. So those are some quick and dirty. Okay. Let's go to some Q&A. You can raise your hand or you can put your question in chat. Any questions? Raise your hand or you can put your question in the chat function. Any questions? Okay, let me go to some resources. Okay, on the Cal-ICMA website, which is included at the bottom of this slide, are three tools. First of all, we have this template for talent discussions, and it's an online fillable form. And you can use this, either the managers in your department can use this to identify key talent, or department heads as part of the executive team can identify key talent, as well as to assess the talent in your organization, and who are these people, who are the high potential employees, and what are some areas, what are their strengths and what areas of development. And there's also a sample completed form. So if you're interested in having a talent discussion at the department level or at the executive team level, we have this form. It's an online fillable form and a sample. And by the way, on this Cal-ICMA website listed below is also a recording, a virtual recording, a video recording of the orientation we previously conducted on how to use the template. So the second tool is a menu of development opportunities. And it lists statewide opportunities as well as national opportunities to develop yourself, training programs to develop yourself. And it can be customized, and your agency can list in-house programs as well as regional programs like the Regional Leadership Academy we have here in Santa Clara County. The third development tool is this coaching model on how to conduct a development conversation. And you received a handout on that. It's also listed on the Cal-ICMA website. And we have there'll be a video recording of this training session posted and loaded on the website by the end of this month. And if any of your colleagues are interested in being trained, just like you got trained today, there'll be a video recording and they can take advantage of that. Now, as a follow-up to this training session, Casey will be sending out to you some resource materials as a follow-up. How do I benefit from a coach? And then if you're interested in stay interviews, a career compass on to retain your talent, use stay interviews, and also an article, how to mentor someone who doesn't know what their career goals should be. We'll also send you out a flyer on the 2024 coaching program, ICMA coaching program. So that'll be on the lookout for those resources. Casey will be sending that out to you as a follow-up. Now, a key resource is the ICMA coaching program. Again, ICMA is the International City County Management Association. We have a number of live webinars. The next live webinar is on May 15. It's called Build Success by Creating and Communicating a Powerful Vision. There's also one on September 12th on ethics at the helm, staying the court despite unethical elected officials. And then one on October 17th, navigating workforce challenges strategy to maximize the performance of difficult employees. And then one on November 21, talent retention toolbox, strategies for keeping your best talent. So those are live webinars. And then to expand your dream team, you can get a one-to-one coach through the coaching program. There are 250 coaches listed, including myself. You click on this webpage, you click on one-to-one coaching, and then there's Coach Connect, which is an online registry of the 250 coaches, most of whom are from California. And you can have you can contact a coach, you can look at their profile, contact a coach, and you can have a one-time or periodic conversation, just like we just did with Talisha, or you can have an ongoing relationship with that coach. And then thirdly, you can get the monthly career advice column that I write for the coaching program. They're on career development, leadership development topics. There are 107 of these Career Compass monthly columns. And if you can sign up and get those Career Compass columns. They're like Dear Abby, only it's Dear Frank. So those are, you don't have to be an ICMA member, and all of these resources from the ICMA coaching program are offered free of charge. So please take advantage of this great professional development opportunity offered by the International City County Management Association. Okay, I'd like to suggest to you some next steps. for those of you who've participated in this training opportunity today. First of all, schedule a development conversation with either a direct report or a high potential employee. You get to be a coach by practicing coaching. That's how you get to be a better coach. So try out the model, conduct the development conversation, see how it goes. Share your experience with other managers in your department or your organization, and then encourage other managers to get trained so they can go to the Cal-ICMA Talent Initiative webpage that I just shared with you for a video of this training or the training we hold next week. And they too can get trained on how to conduct a development conversation. And then if you feel like it, I would encourage you to do this. Let me know how this model works for you. And if other managers in your organization have adopted this coaching model. So you can contact me at frank@frankbennis.com. I would love to hear how you're using the model. So these are some next steps. And if you have any problems or issues, or you just want to share, contact me at frank@frankbennis.com. I'm your go-to person if you have any problems or issues, and I'm always available to you. So, as a way of summarizing, again, we can't wait for people to develop. We have a talent crisis, and we have to accelerate the development of high potential employees. And all the research suggests that their learning and development will keep them with us. People will stay with us as long as they're learning and growing. And this is a great way of creating stickiness. So talented people like Talisha will stay with the organization. Please do encourage other managers in your organization to use the coaching model, and also incorporate the menu of development opportunities into your one-to-one conversations. So you can customize it, add your own in-house programs, share it with your direct report, and it's a great little resource to hand out and give away to your employee. And then finally, use the ICMA coaching program as a resource for yourself to accelerate your development and as a resource for your employees. So I've enjoyed spending the 90 minutes with you. It's been a real joy, and thank you very much. Take care, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Take care.
Thank
Sure.
you.